Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Server Room. I'm Nandini, your host for the podcast, and today we have Vidya Vasudevan with us, who is the head of Zoho community. Hi, Vidya. Welcome to Server Room.
Hi, nice meeting you, Nandini.
Yes. So, how does your day look today?
Yeah, great start to summer. I think it's bright and shiny. I'm looking forward to the day ahead.
Okay, perfect. So, let's talk about you and how your journey into Zoho began. So, why don't we start from there? So, how long has it been since you've been part of Zoho?
I'm completing 24 years in Zoho, so
Okay.
that's a fairly long innings, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, how did you come to be part of Zoho, and where and how did all of this start?
Funny you should ask this because it was by accident that I landed in Zoho.
Okay.
If anything, I wanted to pursue a literary career, so I wanted to major in linguistics after my PG and learn a couple of foreign languages like Japanese and Spanish. So, along with my literary pursuits, I wanted to dabble in translation efforts, like translating some other literary pieces from these languages into English. Um, I accidentally came to know about this role in Zoho for the role of a tech writer,
Okay.
and I thought I'll just give it a shot. Until Zoho happened to me, then it was called AdventNet. Tech and I were facing the opposite directions.
Okay.
So, but I just wanted to give it a try because back then, at the risk of sounding like a T-Rex again, whenever I looked at employees from the tech industry, so back then again, services industries like Infosys, Wipro, TCS. So we used to see this young workforce everywhere. And I always thought that they sported a halo around their heads, so they looked very chill, very confident. And I always used to wonder how it would be like to be in this industry. But aside that, I was not keenly trying to get into the tech industry. It just happened. And I must say that has been one of the best changes that happened in my life. And I never knew that I would really enjoy this domain, this side of work so much. I didn't know that the first 2 years would be the most crucial years where I learned so much than in the previous decade before that. So it changed everything for me.
Okay.
And I was really enjoying being in AdventNet then.
Okay. So this is straight out of college.
Yeah, I did a couple of small stints in other companies before that, but nothing on the lines of tech. It had to do with communication.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you do give off that aura of being a very good communicator, and as you mentioned, related to literary jobs. So I think you do give that aura. Since the first time I saw you in office, I've always had that impression of you.
Okay.
Yeah. So talking about Zoho community, can you describe what it is and how you came to be, the head of Zoho community?
Engaging with customers is something I've always enjoyed doing. In fact, as even in the earlier days, that was one of the biggest factors that contributed to my learning. Looking at the kind of questions customers used to send to support and on the forums, whatever they used to post, I used to read, and that helped me understand the products and how people use our applications in the real world. So that seemed to be the quickest and most efficient way to learn. And over the years, so I had the opportunity to work in different roles alongside being a tech writer. I used to handle tech support. I used to participate in the validation cycles, quality analysis, basically. So that used to be a big, it used to be like a trade fair. The validation phase used to be the most happening phase. And I used to really like destroying a release. So as a quality analyst, your the mandate would be to see that you break a release. You don't let the product go out. So it used to be nice, and developers also used to enjoy. And then there used to be so much collaboration and all that. But over time, um, when the company also grew, a lot of products came in. Support became very intense, and it all kept happening. And we had an online forum for most of our applications, but largely it was becoming like an extended support. So this was a platform I thought was largely ignored. There was a lot more potential. I thought that there was a gap between what our customers kept asking and what we were giving. Most of the things we were, the development team was clued in. So the one thing unique about Zoho even now is everyone, regardless of the department they are in, whether they're developers or product managers or quality analysts, writers, support, pre-sales, everyone is clued in on what the customers ask. Everyone participates in support function, which is like the backbone. Yeah. But despite all that, as we grow, there are the challenges of customers having a lot more needs, but we will not be able to prioritize everything. But somewhere I thought the gap was widening, where customers were asking something and we were not probably giving them what they were looking for, and there was this gulf. So I began to notice that this gulf could be bridged if we approach it very strategically, and community could be that strategic component where community becomes the platform for collective feedback to gauge the collective pulse of what the customers are trying to do with your applications. Are we listening to them? It is like having your ears to the ground, so you really know, you get to feel the pulse. In support, what happens is the engagements are very transactional. It happens between two people, and any solutions you give through support or any conversation that happens between a customer and an expert, that knowledge is trapped inside the heads of these two people. Of course, there is K-base, lot of documentation gets done, but then there could be a lot of other customers who face similar challenges, but they have to go through this entire process. They have to reach out to support, get the solution, and beyond the point, the support folks, I don't think they will feel challenged enough if they have to day in and out answer the same kind of questions.
Yeah, of course.
I thought it would be a great way to leverage a community platform to bridge this gap, where it will help us achieve multiple things. One, it will enable us to drive adoption of our products much faster.
Okay.
Two, it would be a great way to deflect support costs, as in by trying to get the community to provide answers to a lot of repeated questions. Day in and out, we don't have to do the same thing. So I thought that part could be offloaded to the community. So it would deflate support costs, not in terms of numbers, but the quality of support that the support techs get to handle would increase in their severity levels, and it would be more challenging. After 7 years, we don't want the support. I've been in support too. So it wouldn't be very motivating for me to, handle the same set of questions again and again. So I thought community could be a great way to offload that part of activity to a peer ecosystem where customers also collaborate and participate. They also know it lends an amount of credibility also, because they have another 100 customers talking on the platform. They also know they're not alone. If I have an issue, 1,000 others before me would have had the same problem. I might be a very reticent customer, hesitating to ask. But when I see that question coming from a fellow customer, like probably if you have had the same question, you just go and ask. I am so thankful to you because you first asked the question. Okay. I think that is the biggest help that comes from a community. Somebody putting your thoughts into words. So that gap was clearly there, and it contributes to driving product adoption a lot deeper, because you see a lot of peers from the same vertical talking about how they solved or overcame a challenge in a certain way. An implementation that they did, or a hack they found, or a workaround, or an integration, whatever methods they employ to solve a particular problem. So this becomes a knowledge storehouse. It's a powerhouse, not just a storehouse, it's a powerhouse, knowledge powerhouse. So the peers benefit, the customers in the ecosystem, the members in the ecosystem benefit. In fact, a lot of our own folks also learn from these experiences, right? So these things. So I think the first challenge is to reduce churn through driving deeper adoption. When products are adopted more deeply, there are fewer reasons for customers to leave, because it is no fun to chuck one brand and go and start with another brand if they're not happy. So what happens is, over time, the relationship between the customer and the brand becomes very bitter, because they cannot leave the system, they cannot continue using it. It's like they're caught. So to remove all these nags in the system, I found this to be very strategic, and so I talked to the management, and they were quite accommodative. I got a free rein, and here I am, and no 2 days are the same.
Right. Yeah. So how long has it been since this community is live?
So on the Zoho side, it's been active for about 8 years, but before that, our team and I worked on building a very thriving community around Manage Engine. It's still called Pit Stop. So a collective effort and experience of about 12 years working on the community efforts.
Okay, lovely. So now that you mentioned about Manage Engine, I was very curious about how this name came about. And about like after researching a bit, I got to know that you are somehow connected to it. So why don't you tell us the story about how, the name Manage Engine was born?
Okay. So again, so until Manage Engine happened, so I think until early 2000s, in the early 2000, we were a platform company. Advanet Webnms was the flagship product, and it was a platform. It's strange that from a platform company we transitioned to point products and platform, and now again we are going back to platform approach. But life is coming a full cycle in Zoho, I think. I mean, that aside, so this WebNMS modules, the FCAPS modules, I think the strategy or the plan was to fork them into point products, So the product op manager was handling fault and performance management. It was not called op manager then, by the way. It was called several things before it became op manager. Then other products, like there was this analyzer set of products like firewall analyzer, netflow analyzer, and event log analyzer. In fact, we had this funny, I'm sorry, we shouldn't be calling it funny. We had this practice of calling the releases by names. So these analyzer products were called Cherry. It was named after Velachery because the office was in Velachery, much like how Cisco is short of San Francisco. So that is a little history and trivia behind this. So when these products were getting built, when point products were getting built, so before that, our customers were largely OEMs, original equipment manufacturers. So point products would serve end businesses directly, where they would deploy our network and server management solutions, any IT management solution for their business to manage their applications, the networks, servers, all resources on a network, basically. So Op Manager was one of the early products. I think the name, if I remember right, was we were calling it Empower inside, Empower IT or Empower It or Empower, so it was going by some name. So the daily builds also used to carry that name, if my memory serves right. Little hazy in that part. So around that time, I think internally we were all asked to come up with a name because somebody else was owning this Empower IT. Later we realized that Empower IT was already patented, copyrighted, whatever. So we had to find another name. So among Zoho or the Advanet employees, this engine was a very commonly used name or reference. For example, inside WebNMS, we used to talk about the reporting module as reporting engine, configuration engine, So, so I think like a Java class name, this engine also stuck to us, and we were all coming up with suggestions. So I was one of the people who sent in suggestions. So like a lot of names we suggested, and everything had engine as a suffix. Manage Engine was one. I had also sent in the suggestion, and I think a few others also had sent in. In fact, I was trying to see if we had some archives with all these mails where we sent, but unfortunately those have rolled over. We don't have. So I think Manage Engine name stuck because it implied that it is an application that manages. Okay, so engine was, I think, a habit of Advanet or Zoho. But somehow that name got the votes, and that name stuck. So that's a little long history, but I also think that was the name first given to Op Manager, and then it became a brand name. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But whatever products came after that, So it came under the Manage Engine brand.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully, I think it's also sticking to all the customers now.
I
Yeah.
am so desperately, I would give anything to look at all those old emails and see how things used to be, you know.
Yeah. Let's see if we can actually get them. So we look for it. Yeah. Okay. So talking about Zoho community for Zoho and Pitstop for Manage Engine, how important do you think having a community for all the customers? It is like, how important do you think it is for customer retention?
I think that is the most crucial piece. You know, community is a crucial piece and often underestimated. Uh, Existing customers are the lowest hanging fruits, you know. So if we don't manage to get them to stay, we are missing out on something, and it takes 10 times more effort to win a new customer, you know. So, and this is an industry stat. So I think we should do everything in our means to see that the customers who have been onboarded to our products or solutions find ways to solve their business problems using our tools. So, and this can be very methodically achieved, where all the customer facing teams would be clued in on what the customer journey is, and see what is the potential to increase their lifetime value with us. So this is a strategic piece, um, largely underestimated but very important. And if we execute it in a manner where we look at the gaps, understand what pieces are missing for the customer, and try to, today the ecosystem itself is very interoperable, right? So I don't think we will land in a situation where we'll not be able to solve a problem for a customer. It might require us to take extra few steps, but it is definitely possible with the kind of ecosystem we have today. There is a marketplace, we are interoperable with every third party vendor out there, and that is how it is going to be going forward. So we should leverage community to see how the knowledge that is trapped inside the heads of, see, the domain knowledge. So we all might be experts in the products that we're working on, you know, working with, but the domain knowledge lies with the customers. Okay, somebody in healthcare or somebody in logistics or manufacturing. So how supply chain management is handled, this knowledge is available with the customers. And when they start deploying our applications to solve their business problems, we get to understand how these things work in real time. That is a knowledge we will benefit from if it is out there in the open, in a way that both of us can mutually, you know, complement each other. Our technology will serve the purpose of solving a business problem. The customers will be able to automate their businesses using our software. So yeah.
Okay, okay. So, how do you think the mindset of all the customers, or let's say the community users, has evolved from the time it actually started?
I think communities have always been there, and people on any community, they thrive because of the kind of connections they build, the kind of conversations they have. Because as a platform, no matter what community it is, it brings people who share similar interests, who are like-minded together, you know. So we will have a lot of things in common to talk about, and empathy is at the core of this connections, you know. So you readily understand what another person is talking about, what another person is going through. So yeah, I think.
Okay, okay. So, how important is, do you think AI has any effect on your role? Because, I feel having a community adds like a very human element to everything, whereas AI and using AI and its tools adds a lot of mechanical element. So, like, let's talk about your views about this, because I'm sure you must be having very varied views. So, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so talking about AI is at once exciting and also scary. um, because see, I was recently reading an article on TechCrunch about how a solopreneur running a micro enterprise, from the days where solopreneurs were running micro enterprises, how we are probably heading towards a time where a solopreneur will run a unicorn, you know. So without AI, this is unimaginable. And that article kind of, you know, uh, it shakes up certain notions that you have. You think these things can never happen, but AI is already here disrupting a lot of things. But that aside, it's not like big tech companies didn't come from small teams. For example, if you look at Instagram, when Facebook acquired it, it was a 13-member team, but Insta was still big, right? So technology was already disrupting this, and it was already making it possible for fewer people to build a big brand, big company, big revenue. But AI is challenging that altogether. But what I think cannot be totally offloaded to AI or have AI take over is the go to marketing strategy or the engagement strategy, because it needs a human interface. At the end of the day, people, I think we are all social beings, we crave for human conversations, human empathy. Though there is a lot of AI, artificial empathy, even if an AI can understand whether you're upset or whether you're crying because you're sad or you're happy, based on how you choke or based on the expressions that you do, though we, um, you know, um, we give that kind of credit to the AI abilities. I think at the end of it, certain things, certain nuances cannot be replaced. Empathy that humans are capable cannot be replaced using tech. And I'm totally banking on the entire community setup or the community as a strategy to work based on this premise, that we will still continue to crave for human connections, human opinions, human validations. AI can tell me, see, AI tells based on how it is trained. Okay, for example, now we know in the tech industry, even if in entire global workforce, even if 50% of are women, barely 30% are on the probably on the tech side. And so when AIs are trained, there is this bias, unconscious bias, right? So a lot of contributions are happening on that side. That is another tangent. But what can happen is this empathy that humans are capable of, that might not really come to the fore, or AI cannot take away that kind of a connection or empathy like humans provide. So I think community will play a bigger role. It could be the way in which a business can interact with its customers, just like any other community. So there are a lot of other types of communities, like advertisement community or social communities. But for business communities to thrive, there needs to be a platform where people will want to continue collaborating or connecting with their peers, even if it is to see how brilliantly they've implemented something using AI.
Right. So I think the point you mentioned about human element and having empathy, that is completely valid. But do you think that, solving these business use cases or problems, you can just train like an AI chatbot using Zoho Communities database? And then, let's say if I'm a new customer who wants to visit Zoho Community, I just ask the question to the AI chatbot. And, since the chatbot will be having all of the database and every knowledge of all the customers that are part of it, do you think that is going to be easier?
See, this having chatbots is inevitable, and that is the logical way to go forward, because it has to cut down the wait time for customers. They don't have to wait endlessly to understand how their problem can be solved, or how a particular use case can be met using a function in a particular product or with some integration. So that is the way forward. But this will be, human interactions will go beyond this layer of just seeking solutions. So AI will give that, but I think a lot of validation or endorsement people will still need from peers. So that cannot be replaced. And also, for somebody journeying from the state of being a rookie to the state of becoming a pro, you need that kind of interactions. Customers also start out new. They also try to figure out how our products work, what more they can do using our products. See, another uh, fact is, in this many years, one observation I think most of us would have seen is that most products get adopted or used for probably only 30 or 40%. Okay, so there are about 60% of the features that are totally not used or very underutilized. Customers themselves don't know the value of those features. They might be able to unlock more value from our offerings if they know what more our tools are capable of. So that you cannot think of what possibly you're missing and ask an AI. So this knowledge gets transmitted when I have a particular scenario and I am going out there in the community and telling that, hey, this is what I did. I used scoring rules, for example, in CRM or something else. So that is when another customer would get to know, oh, I have had this feature but I have not used it. They don't even know they could be having a problem that is also solvable. They would not even know that's a need. So those kind of information, those kind of nuggets, wisdom nuggets, would be easily acquired. Community can become that platform which will enable somebody to learn a lot more deeply. So, and also it is a mutually win-win for a brand and for the customers. So they also start looking at the possibilities of using a lot more features that they have never considered using. And it is good for the product also, because good for the brand also, because a lot more customers are deeply adopting your tech.
Correct. Yeah, makes sense. So, I think we've talked a lot about AI. So, why don't we get into your human elements and how that, really shapes the way you are right now? So, let's talk about your mentorship. So, how important has it been for you throughout your career? Maybe you can talk about a few instances or stories that have really stayed with you throughout your career.
Okay, so the next best thing after landing this opportunity that happened to me in Zoho was finding amazing mentors. Okay, so the team that I was in, right from my hiring managers, Vijay Karthik, who doesn't work for Zoho anymore, and Muthukumaran, our director of technology, these were my tech hiring managers. And the team comprising of all amazing developers. Every single developer was a mentor. I remember endlessly nagging them to learn something. And I also at times feel very embarrassed about the kind of very basic questions I've asked them, but at no point I was judged. And at no point I was made to feel like, why doesn't she know even this? So I've never been made to feel inadequate. I think that is a big factor for anybody to want to stay, want to learn, want to grow, and you give that, you pay it forward, you give it forward. That kind of mentorship you would want to provide for the next person coming. So I have had great mentors, particularly if I could talk about one of the mentors, Deepa, who currently leads the security team here. I still call her Tech Amma. I've endlessly nagged her. There used to be a partition wall between our cubicles, and every 10 minutes I would just get up and say, Deepa, how to do this. So she was the one who taught me MS SQL. She taught me SNMP. She taught me CLI. She taught me what telnet tools are. She taught me the difference between telnet and SSH. She taught me the basic SQL queries to how to write complex join queries. Everything. She taught me TCP/IP. I learned from her. Okay, so I didn't know how things would work in a network, how TCP/IP communication could work, how WebNMS discovers objects in the network, how it categorizes, how it maps. Nothing. And I owe a lot to Deepa. Not just Deepa, there were a lot of other developers, but Deepa was my primary go-to person, and I think at end of every day she would have wanted to have me off her head, but not once has she said or made me feel that I am asking too many questions or the same question too many times. Not once has she hesitated. No matter how busy she is, she would take time and take time to teach me that, which is like a um, big gift or the biggest blessing. So I used to learn a lot from her. and from a lot of other teammates. And every mentor that I worked with in every team, I have learned something from my managers. All the managers that I've agreed with, got along well with, all the managers, some managers, not all, a couple of managers that I fell out with too. But there is not a single mentor from whom I have not learned. Okay, so everybody has had something great to teach me, and all that I have learned from every single mentor is helping me even now. For example, how to do demos. I have had the opportunity to deliver demos in regional languages. Like in Hindi, I've delivered demo, couple of them, not a couple, kind of quite a few demos in Hindi, a little bilingual demo in Kannada and English demo, and in Tamil. So these were, and nobody discouraged me. In fact, they were happy. They used to cheer me on, and it used to be fun. So, and there was room to make mistakes. Nobody was hard on you. So we had the freedom to make mistakes, learn, pull things up, pull our socks, and just try not to make the same mistake again. So that kind of freedom, where there was accountability on each of our sides. So basically the trust, so you were trusted. You would know, so okay, this is your deliverable, and you have to put in your 100 or 200%, get it delivered. And largely everyone has been kind. So, and I could go to anybody, even the top management. I have nagged Sailesh and Liz. I continue to nag Money and Liz now. So everybody has been very accessible and approachable. That is the biggest blessing for me here. Mentorship, amazing mentors I've had. I continue to have.
Yeah, so let's talk about like women in particular. Do you have any people that you admire or, really look up to in the way they work, not necessarily from the same domain or the same company, but across the globe? Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, this might sound a little cliched, but I read The Joy of Loving about Mother Teresa when I was very, very young, school going. So it left some kind of mark. I don't know if anything will change if I go and reread some of the materials, but and I also got to watch some documentaries on her, and the kind of empathy and kindness she was, capable of. I think that is kind of unparalleled. I've always, that message has stuck to me, so that we have to be empathetic. So, weirdly or funnily or coincidentally, the work of community requires that at the core. Any customer facing function needs that empathy at the core. So, I have consciously tried. I wouldn't say I'm there. I get it right every time, but I try not to move away from that core trait of showing empathy, having empathy for a fellow person, particularly at work, customer, even when facing customers. So that is something that I don't want to move my eyes away from. Other than that, as a kid, I used to read every single book by Enid Blyton. So, for a long time, I didn't know she was a woman author, and but yeah, in a little in 2 3 years of reading Enid Blyton, I came to know, and I was super impressed because I didn't know somebody could. For kids, you think that it is impossible for a lady to have imagined a scenario where this five kids go on a camp in a caravan and talk about ginger ale, about solving a mystery. So it was very a very good feeling. And later years, in my adult years, so when J.K. Rowling happened to the world, I largely ignored J.K. Rowling because I thought this was really kids literature, So I didn't take it seriously until another colleague and friend who used to work here, she kind of insisted that I have to give Harry Potter a shot. So what I missed reading as a child, I caught up on it later in my adult life when I had my first, even after having my firstborn, So I couldn't put the books down, and I still marvel at the kind of imagination, the kind of creativity, the kind of characters and the situations she's painted out. And even now, for me, if I have to, I think no other character comes close to represent integrity like Harry Potter. No other story tells how love and affection is. Love is more important than anything else in this world for somebody to be toe the right line. So these things have stuck. Even now, if I feel down, my go-to book is Prisoner of Azkaban. So it a lot of people make fun of me for this, but I think, and I've been following her on Twitter, and the kind of opinions she holds dear to herself, and how she's out there talking her mind. I really, she is an inspiration. So again, weirdly, all these are from the literary domain. So I don't think I've let that side of me slip. On the tech side, I there are a lot of women here who inspire me within our company. Deepa, Raji, I have Jay Chitra, Jyoti, all my gang. We call this, we are a self-proclaimed country gang. So every woman in my circle, in my friend circle, they continue to inspire me every day for how they handle work and how they handle other challenges. So I look up to them. I also, you know, read. I've read Sheryl Sandberg's Lenin. So every woman entrepreneur there, she's an inspiration. Lot of inspirations. Beyond all that, very recently, in the last 1 year, I have had the opportunity to meet a lot of women entrepreneurs, particularly in India. Um, they're doing stellar jobs, amazing lines of business. I met a woman who was in logistics business from Delhi. It's very unheard of for women to, build, yeah, logistics enterprise, and somebody who's cultivate tried has a who has a startup growing, cultivating lab grown meats. A lot of young amazing enterprising women, and it's so heartening. So every story I hear, or every woman I see who are out there, going all the way, trying to figure their paths, everyone inspires me.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. It's such a nice picture you paint, and it's so lovely to hear about all of these women in tech, women in, like the literally all the authors. And personally speaking, even I really love Harry Potter.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, even my
Right?
childhood was completely, filled with Enid
Yeah,
Blyton,
yeah,
Famous Five,
yeah.
Nancy Drew. I used to read Nancy
Of
Drew
course,
as
Hardy
well.
Boys,
Yeah.
Nancy Drew, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was quite a
Mallory
good time.
Towers.
Of course, yeah. Perfect. So, do you have any advice for women entering the tech industry?
um, I have some suggestions. So I think women are not entering tech industry now. I think close to 4 decades, women have been very active in tech, and that is a big boost. Tech has been a big boost for women, to hurl them, or just pull them into primary workforce. Um, so going deep in whatever you do. So if you're a developer, you should be on top of your tech stack. You should understand you should constantly keep upskilling and upgrading, and talk to people, ask. That is one thing I think, women, it's a stereotype, but there are two things most of us end up committing. One, we all try to be reticent. Two, I think we all suffer from some amount of imposter syndrome. you know so, but I think we have to shed that. We should take a leap of faith, and we should ask. So opportunities don't land, they don't fall on your lap. For women, it is particularly important that we ask, because there are a lot of assumptions, and you cannot blame it on anybody else, because that is how it has been, and it will change over time. But until that change happens, where we will automatically be in the reckoning for any roles or any challenge, I think we have to make the step forward and ask. It is okay if you don't get yes for an answer every time, but you should make that effort to ask. It is okay to fail, it is okay to be declined, but if you don't make an effort to ask, we will be left behind. And with the other women in your team or in your friend circle within the company, you always have to support your women peers and take them along in your journey, in your growth. And if there is an opportunity you think will suit somebody, I think you have to discuss with them, pull them in those conversations, make them part of your growth, you be part of their growth journeys. Basically create spaces to talk, to keep to engage with women. And also, um, even unconsciously, we should not create some kind of a barrier for women to come up and talk about issues where they'll be made to feel inadequate, so there are a lot of notions, a lot of cultural hiccups we have that get in the way. So those of us who understand, who have been there, done that, should, make an effort to pull everybody else along. And one, I don't know if it is right or wrong, but I don't really um, subscribe to, using the woman card everywhere. So use your abilities card. I think we all have the ability. We all have the capability of doing what every other person in the company does. Let us talk about our skills. Let us seek opportunities based on our skills and abilities. I'm not saying we should not talk about wanting representation everywhere. That goes without saying, but it should not be about it all the time, so where some work demands, or where one opportunity demands, if you think you have that skill in you, that ability in you, that you can crack, you should just go and ask for it. Otherwise, they will not know. People who are providers of these opportunities will not know that you could be in the reckoning, so we have to make an honest effort to ask. And studying, constantly looking at what is happening around you, constantly staying updated is very, very critical, particularly in the AI era. Now things are happening so fast that we have to be doubly watchful and stay on top of things.
Yeah. So actually, one of my colleagues really mentions this a lot. The first person to bring another woman down is another woman. And I feel that competition is actually pretty relevant. I have seen that, and I feel like we should, try to reduce that as well. It could be in the workforce, or it could be, anywhere else between. It should not be in friends, but I feel like that is I feel I relate to that a little bit, but I feel that should reduce.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. But that narrative also I think is a bit engineered here and there. Okay. Because sorry, men, I have also seen men given into gossip. They thrive in gossip. They also subtly pull the rug from under another man, So, for example, uh, somebody could be having a coffee with their manager, and if another colleague is missing, they say, hey, that fellow would have gone for a fag or something, They're just, it'll it is in how men talk about things and how women talk about things. I think all are capable of the same kind of evil and the same kind of good. I wouldn't put anything past a woman. I wouldn't put anything past a man. But we are all at a point where these things should not matter, So if we trust our abilities, we should shed the insecurity. I think at the core of all these characteristics, where you feel a woman pulling you down, or a man is also equally capable of pulling a woman down. So at the root of it is, be it a man or a woman, it is a feeling of insecurity in the other person. So we shouldn't let it bog us down, which means we have to be very strong mentally, which means we have to work towards it, because today there are a lot of variables in our ecosystem, on the home front, on the work front, on the social front. We lose track of what is important to us, so if we don't, uh, let too many things distract us, if we are clear. I personally, for example, I wouldn't have FOMO about so many things that many are in a rush to, get sorted. I like to take things slow. I like to savor every moment, every success, or every activity. For example, I wouldn't like to pack my day with 100 things, and I don't subscribe to the superwoman syndrome where you would have wanted to accomplished 100 things. I am okay if I'm not a good cook. I am a good cook, by the way. Um, I am. It is okay if I have not traveled to 100 countries. I am happy for somebody who has. I shouldn't begrudge another person for that. Okay, I shouldn't begrudge a person who wants to be there doing everything fine. I want to support that, but I will not rack my brains or be in a mess because I am not able to do those things. So you should follow your natural inclination to certain things. You are comfortable a certain way, we have to do that. I am comfortable dressing a certain way, I should do that. I shouldn't let these pressures to get to me and make it very difficult for, because we can never be content if we are like that. So
There will always be something that
yeah,
is
there's always
missing. Yeah.
something. So I think we have to, compartmentalize certain things. We should prioritize, basically prioritize what is it that you want at the end of the day. How do you want to feel? When you go to bed, how do you want to feel? So do you want to look at your day and say, miserable, I missed that, I should have done this, or hey, this went well? It is okay. If something didn't go well, yeah, this escalation, it was a mess, but yeah, we handled it well. Or it's a mess, let me sort it tomorrow. I think that is the approach, because I mean, this is not the end of life, right? Everything passes. We just have to give it time. And, not run this, not get tumble this in your head so much like it makes noise like a washing machine.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you maintain a work-life balance? I'm sure you must be having a family that you love. So
Yeah. So I have a problem with the definition work-life balance.
okay, sorry.
So I would like to call it work-life and personal life balance, because today I'm sure you agree that the lines between work and work life and personal life, it's all blurred. So it's not like I don't take time off during midday at work hours to run a personal errand. It is possible today, I do it. And also during my personal hours, which is probably like the whatever after office hours, I do take up office work. I am on calls, I'm on meetings, or there might be some copy I'm working on. Sometimes the brain works only at 11 in the night. But I wouldn't want to set that aside as this is my work life or this is my personal life. So I think it is about understanding today that the lines are blurred. Everything, work is an essential part of our lives. So we cannot talk of that as something else and our personal life as something else, because work empowers us. It puts food on the table. It gives you some real meat to think about every day. You feel challenged. This makes us more sane. At the end of this day, I am a sane mother or a sane wife or a sane daughter or daughter-in-law, whatever, because I have done something productive, constructive at my work. Because it gives me this assurance of my worth. You know, but I don't want to miss out on all the important milestones uh, at home, and I think it is just about how you want to look at things again. So you have to, I want to go on my trips with my family. I want to spend time with my kids for their education, even if they loathe that side of me. They want me off their heads. But yeah, I want to have real fights there, I want to have real fights here. So we have to make time for all the important things. Again, priorities. So for me, it is people first, home or at work. And um, people and other challenges. People come first for me, so I want to put people first wherever it is. So that sorts a lot of things. You will be able to prioritize. Okay, so and this is something I tell a lot of people I work with also. Whether it's free advice basically. Nobody likes it, but I keep telling it when they talk about situations about conflicts. I tell them put the people first. It'll sort, So don't put your ego last, because
Yeah, that's very difficult to do though, but
if we don't do it, at the end of the day, you are the one who is miserable, not somebody else. You are miserable. You are left to deal with all the mess. You don't want that. Okay, it's always very difficult to re-engineer, undo something and redo. If you get certain things, say all this also over the years through the experiences I have learned. So putting people first has helped. Okay, so and in that order. So of course, I want work to empower me. Work is empowering me, but I will put my people first. I'll put my family first. I will put work next. Unapologetic about it.
it's on
It's
camera now.
okay. It's fine. That is the truth. I have nothing to hide. That is how it is. It's okay. And I don't want to have cracked everything, solved everything, done everything. No. I'm basically very easy to please. And I'm also a very content person. So probably you're even having the wrong person in the studio.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. But are you excited for something this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So our team, actually, there no 2 days are the same, and every day is like, so someone a few years back, they observed our team at work, and they made this observation, and they said, your team works like, it feels like your team is a startup, So I think that definition or that observation has stuck with me, and I want us to be in that mode all the time, like a startup mode, and everything should be happening every day. So I get very easily excited if somebody pitches a new idea. So we see, so how we work is we plan lot of content driven engagements, both online and offline, to bring the customers back. We try to create as many avenues as possible to keep the customers stay engaged with us. So every time we see a gap, we want to fill it with a meaningful engagement. We want to build relationships with customers. So this year, AI is again a big variable. So we are looking at how we can, we are exploring some tools to see how we can fill some of these gaps with the tools that we've identified. We are in the process. I'm excited about that. We are also foraying into small outreach activities this year. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how this effort will pan out. And there is another secret project we are working on. It is taking some time, but I'm excited about that effort also, because I don't want to say anything about it in jinx, but that is another effort. And this year, see, we've been able to identify over the last few years some amazing champions for the brand. So this year, our goal is to see if we can double the number of champions we have for our brand. So we're very closely working with some customers, and we are in the process of rolling out some efforts, customer-led efforts. That is another thing I'm excited about. And we're also expanding the community groups. We already do close to 500 in-person meetups a year, and close to 200 or 250 virtual meetups. So we are in the process of expanding that reach to a lot more tier 2, tier 3 cities. So a lot of efforts in parallel. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the months this year. And already I didn't know when January slipped past. We are already in February, so a lot of things.
Okay. Okay. Any particular tech trends that you're excited about this year?
I've been reading up again, because world is now talking only about AI. I've been
And
reading
so are we.
so I've been reading about AI ethics. That seems to be a very fascinating area to explore and see how women uh, are in the process of contributing to AI ethics, because largely that is a ratio that is left out of the training. So So I am excited about that. So I'm looking at it.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you so much for this very fun and engaging conversation. And we really hope that you come back on another episode of Server Room.
Thank you so much for having me here, Nandini. I really loved having all the conversations. I don't know how much of it is going to go live, but yeah, I enjoyed sharing my thoughts here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon. Bye bye.